Alright guys, so today's problem that 1 is number 7 on level 2, which says 3 times root 2 sine of x cosine of x plus 2 root 3 cosine of x minus 3 sine x minus 2 equals 0, and we're looking at that from negative infinity to infinity. The tip-off for this problem that makes it very doable is that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. Anytime we have a problem with 4 terms, it is very likely we'll need to use factoring by grouping, which means let's group the first two and group the last two. So let's look at the first two and see what can we factor out. I can factor out a root 2c, so I'm left with 3s on the first term plus 2 on the second term. Now, my goal is, can I factor something out of these two so that I'm left with 3s plus 2? And in fact, I can. If I factor out a minus 1, then negative 1 will leave me with 3s plus 2 inside. How did I get that? Negative 1 times 3s, negative 3s, negative 1 times 2, negative 2. Now, I can factor out the 3s plus 2 that both of these have. So I get 3s plus 2 times root 2c minus 1. This is known as factoring by grouping. We discussed this earlier this year, and I believe you all discussed this in Algebra 2. Now, we have factor times factor equals 0. Split this into 2. 3s plus 2 equals 0, minus 2 on both sides. 3s equals negative 2 divided by 3. S equals negative 2/3. This does have a solution, but negative 2/3 is not on the unit circle, so I'm going to write no solution without the calculator. You need the calculator to evaluate this. We have not discussed that, so I would say no solution without the calculator. Let's go to the other piece, which is root 2c minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides. I'm left with root 2c equals 1. Divide both sides by root 2. c equals 1 over root 2. Times it by root 2 over root 2, fancy 1, so I could get rid of the root 2 downstairs, and I'm left with root 2 over 2 equals c, so cosine of x equals root 2 over 2, so x is pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. But because the interval was from negative infinity to infinity, that means I need to add the period times k. And of course I'll write where k equals any integer. The question is, what is the period? Well, the period equals 2 pi divided by b. b, of course, is just 1 here, so the period is 2 pi over 1. The period is just 2 pi. Hence, my answers are x equals pi over 4 plus 2 pi k, and 7 pi over 4 plus 2 pi k. Let me zoom out to give everybody a panoramic view of this. Again, the key takeaways, if there are 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, that means we should attempt to use grouping. We group the first two, group the second two, get the factors, set them equal to 0, and go from there. Again, let me zoom out. And that'll do it for today's problem. Looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.